You see, we're telling you any kind of disobedience causes sins. How little it is. How little it is. And it won't work. It can't fly. It will never work with God. We can't deny that the Spirit doesn't speak to us, folks. We can disobey Him. And then he went on, and it's a sad story. In verse 22, and Samuel said, has the Lord great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifice, as is in obeying the voice of the Lord? Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, than the heart of the fat of rams. There's nothing else to substitute. You can't offer anything, or lie about it, or try to not do it, and appease it. You can't do it. What the Holy Spirit says to David Webb, he's got no alternative. He's got no grounds for debate. He has to do it. It's exactly the way the Holy Spirit says. So he just asked him, now which is better? You're in a mess. You got caught lying. Of course, he went ahead and told him, remember when you were a little kid over there, you know, with the Lord? Samuel said, you know, you was a little bitty fellow, how God favored you, done all this and that for you. Verse 23. For rebellion is the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness, there it is as iniquity and adultery. Because thou hast rejected the words of the Holy Spirit, the Lord thy God, He has also rejected thee from being king. Now did he get away? Your sacrifices will take you the wrong way. Your decisions about what the Holy Spirit says do will always carry you the opposite direction. You're not going to have anything. You're not going to get along with God. You're not going to increase spiritually. You're just stopped. We'll see that in a minute. Where he said, you know, just to be opinionated about things and not listen. So he said, well, I tell you, he goes, oh, boy, it hit him. Oh, no, I'll do anything now. Oh, I still want to be king. No, you're not going to be king any longer. You think God still doesn't do us that way? You go far enough with God, things are going to be taken out from underneath away from you.
That's right.
And boy, I'll tell you, in a sad condition. In 1 Kings, let's look in chapter 18. Now here's the problem. You know we're two people, don't you? We're two beings. We got two opinions, we got two thoughts, we got two beings, and that whole thing. So he says in 1 Kings chapter 18, verse 21, look what Elijah said. And Elijah came unto all the people and said, how long will ye, what? Will ye stop? Will you halt between two opinions? I mean, you going to take the opinion of the Holy Spirit, or are you going to let your own opinion rule and reign? And if you want to do that and argue and fuss with the two, you're in a halted position. You've stopped everything. Well, I just quit going to church because, you know, I don't like the preacher, I don't do this and I don't do that. Well, where do you think you're going? Where do people like that think the ultimate end is? Is it the right decision? Have they made the right? Of course not. You see families tore all to pieces. You see Satan enter in, busting up this and tearing that up, just to drift away. He said, how long will you operate like that? You got your own opinion, all right, but you've got to adhere to the opinion of the Holy Spirit, because Jesus has talked to him and told him what to tell me. So it's going to end back up on the desk of Jesus.
Amen.
Seated at the right hand of the Father. What's that? How long will you just live that way? How long will you just religiousise the Holy Spirit? How long will you just be a Baptist against the Bible? How long will you just go on like that in this life? Hobnobbing around. Up and down, in and out. No stability. Can't do anything very long. Because you see, God is saying here, your problem is just that. We need to go a little bit further. Let's go into SOS, Songs of Solomon. And here's the problem. You know, when you come down to a lot of things, making opinions and statements and things of that nature, we always base them on our ability and our wants and our desires. And everybody else ought to agree with us, because everybody else is wrong but me. So you see who we're dealing with right away. we're dealing with right away. And in Song of Solomon chapter 2 and verse 15. Take us the little foxes. The little foxes, they spoil the vines, for our vines have tender grapes. What does that say to you and me personally? We always look at big stuff, big sins, something big, something notable, something everybody talks about. But he just said, Solomon said, what about these little things? What about these little kept secrets? What about that little decision I made in my heart? And it's there. It's alive. It's not working for me. It's aggravating me. You know, that's that little fox. The nature of anything, the nature of a fox is just what that fox, big or little, is doing. That's just like a snake. The nature of a snake, that's why people don't have pets out of animals. Their nature, the lions and tigers, they're not pets. Their nature is to kill and maim and eat. He said the nature of a little fox is enough in your heart and in my life to completely destroy me. If it's not dealt with, if it's not taken out, he simply said, take the little foxes and look what they did. You know they built those fences up here high where the grapes were. But underneath, about like that, a little fox would get under it. He didn't care anything about those grapes. He couldn't reach them. You know what he cared about? The sap in the vine. Tastes good. Well, I'll declare. You see where your armor is valuable? You got to have it on. That's what he said Wednesday night. He would detect and catch that little fox. Take us the little foxes because they do the spoiling. The little sin that I want to keep and sacrifice unto God. Oh yeah, Lord, I know it's there. I think about it. I like the thoughts of it. I do this all the time. I do that. And Lord, I'll tell you what, if some way or another I could get that guilt feeling gone away from me, I'd give you $1,000 a week. Rather disobey. You see who's pushing the disobedience, don't you? And that little fox, that little bit, well, who cares about them? They're cute little critters. That's a cute little thing. I like that. Nothing wrong with it. Or if you're a child of God, it is. It's enough to tear you all to pieces, tear your life down, your marriage down, your job down, and everything else. Take us the little foxes, the little sin. They're the one. The little foxes, just like I said, cute little critters. They're there. They're all around us. That little sin that we think nothing's wrong with. Well, I don't see a thing wrong with that. Well, you're feeling the effects of it. You ought to be able to see it because it's tearing you up. It's causing you to make wrong decisions. You can't make a good decision and keep it. You can't study anymore. You can't do this and can't do that. Playing at it, trying to sacrifice. Well, I hope God don't put me out. I'm convicted, you know. Yeah, I did it. I'm guilty. I just hope God don't. Watch out. It's a whole lot worse to know and detect that sin and do nothing about it. It is just to go on like you never were saved. Amen. You got it? Those men of God, those people of God, armies were stopped by it. I mean, they had armies of 200,000 and 300,000 men that could conquer anything and got stopped by one man's disobedience. The church can get stopped like that by one member disobeying. I mean, your family, I'm trying to tell you to be in a halted position like that. How long are you going to stay there, he said, Elijah? How long will you stay in that condition? Well, as long as you leave that decision up to Adam 1, you'll live there. Trying to justify, trying to redirect my thoughts, trying to do something. Yet I'm guilty, and the Holy Spirit said, and yes, you're doing that, you're thinking that, you haven't repented of it. You don't want to get rid of it. And that little fox, it just causes how you think a lot of fun. You still want to go on, you still want to have these little hacking things that hacks at you, you know, in your heart, your life. I tell you, one of the greatest things is to get washed from one of them and go on in life and don't even think about it anymore. Boy, it's gone. That most hounding, aggravating thing. Now I'm back on track with God. I'm enjoying Christianity. My brothers, I'm enjoying church. I unlocked the Bible again. My life has really took on an improvement. I'm not between two opinions anymore. I'm not in bondage about anything of the Bible. I don't live there anymore. That's what he was saying. There set before us every day of our life a choice. You're going to get blessed today or you're going to get cursed today. It's up to you. Because you're going to have sin in your life. You can either listen to the Holy Spirit and get rid of it, or you can come on and get on the cursing edge of God today and try to live. Try to do things and things fall apart. Or you got God blessing when you wake up in the morning. There's my servant. There's my people. There's that sheep over there that once used to graze around the edges where the dark edges where the foxes and the lions were. But now he's moved into the middle, in the center of the herd. He's safer there. And I know today I'm going to come by and the Holy Spirit is going to speak to him and he's going to hear him. Already blessed. Already. Because what? He chose to be that way. He chooses, she chooses to get that mess, that little fox, and do away with it. Get it out of my heart and out of my life. Get away with it. Let me tell you something, folks. It's not just written. It's not a joke. It's not spiritualized by Baptists or Methodists or anybody else. It's not messed with. It try to be messed with. Oh, you don't have to get that technical about it. Well, the Bible and God says I do. Should I listen to you? I've heard a lot of people say, well, that's just too technical. That's getting it down too much. Listen. The Holy Spirit is the only one on this earth now. The last person of the Trinity and the last one to act from heaven. When his ministry's over with, I'm telling you, the whole thing's over with, except the Great Tribulation. We're out of here, and the very next event is to stand right there at the judgment seat of Christ with all this record book and all this written in it, plus my record book, my epitaph laying right there. 2 books, he says. Now think about what you're facing. You're going to pay anyway. It'll be brought out there. And do you think you can run somewhere and make, oh God, no, listen, you know, well, maybe I had this, I'll just give that to somebody else and let me have a little cabin or something over here. What we're saying is, folks, it's not over with, because we will face it when we get there, every word, every jot, and every tittle. So which is better? Keep on sacrificing or obey the Holy Spirit? That's simple. That's simple. And Jesus said when it comes to the decision, you know, remember, lo, I'm with you. Take my yoke, it's easy. Learn of me. There's nothing too hard. Don't be discouraged by the old human side of you trying to wiggle out. You see, that rich man that died and went to hell, the first thing he was talking about, please. Oh, please, I believe you now. And I've got 5 brothers back on earth that think their older brother was just dead. They want to be like me. Could you do a little bit more and send somebody? He said, I'm sorry, I can't. They got the prophets just like you did, and if they don't obey them, they're going to end up where you are. Truth. That's what it says. Now, do you think to just keep on disobeying, running a risk, you know, of my opinions and things about God is going to fly? No way.
That's right.
No way. There's nothing. So, isn't it better, just like Nathan said, just like all of them said, hey, why'd you do that? You knew what the consequences were. So wouldn't it have been, oh yes, it'd been a lot better. Oh my goodness, David said, I lost my son. No Agag, you know, they told him, you hew him to pieces on him. Well, didn't do it, see. Well, after all, he needs the Lord too. After all, you know, Jesus wouldn't do that. He wouldn't judge us. He wouldn't do that. Oh, he don't? You better cut that